going to fly to Chicago, my city, home city. Shout out to everyone who's been watching us live and direct here on Hardlands Media. So, and this has to probably going to deal with the Trump initiative of sending the National Guard and other federal agencies in Chicago to deal with the crime and immigration situation in Chicago. And already I see a perfect storm happening. Now, we all know how local media and corporate media like to promote negative news. Well, yesterday there was a shooting in Chicago that once again is going to probably be adding more fuel to the conversation about, well, I guess the military and more agencies coming to our city.
There's also no motive for a shooting at 5th and Costner. Chicago police telling us 2 people were standing outside in Garfield Park when they heard a loud noise. Then the victims, who are both 35 years old, say they felt immediate pain. The man was shot in an ankle. He's listed in good condition. A woman shot in her foot and leg. No one is in custody.
Adding to that, well, I won't be able to play this video because it's still loading up. At least 35 people have been shot, 5 fatally, in shootings across Chicago so far this Labor Day weekend. Great. Might as well roll out the red carpet for the National Guard. The weekend violence comes as the Trump administration possibly prepares to deploy the National Guard to the Chicago area. A woman was shot and killed in a South Shore apartment on Friday night. The shooting happened about 11:56 p.m. at 7700 block of South Essex Avenue. Police found 2 women with gunshot wounds inside the apartment. A 25-year-old woman was shot twice in the abdomen and once in the leg. Police said that she was taken to University of Chicago, where she died. The deadly shooting investigation is underway in Garfield Park on Saturday. Chicago police said that the shooting happened at about 11:01 a.m. in the 500 block of North Sawyer. Police said the 2 men, 29 and 32, were standing outside when a dark SUV pulled up. The suspect got out of the SUV, started shooting in their direction. The 29-year-old male was shot multiple times. He was today taken to Mount Sinai Hospital, where he died. A woman was shot to death at the Elkwood Gardens neighborhood on Saturday evening. Police said the shooting happened about 7:46 p.m. at 900 block of East 131st Street. Police said. So, more shootings. And what does this mean? It means that right now this entire city is going to be a fascinating showdown. This is going to happen. In my opinion, Chicago is going to be facing a full-on engagement with the Trump administration. Because there's a possibility that Trump could start doing a little bit more than just activating the National Guard or sending federal agencies in. What happens if he starts activating the Army or Marine Corps reserves in Illinois? There's a lot that Trump can do, as he is the president of the United States, and he's made it very clear that he wants to go to Chicago. And the more you keep on poking the bear, which is what you see from a lot of Chicago politicians towards Donald Trump, the more he's going to be activated and interested to be doing so. So first, I want to at least address this here. And this could have some long-term consequences for us. Troops could hurt recovery downtown while ignoring southwest side, Chicagoans say. To which I will say this. I have seen downtown Chicago, and I am depressed by it. Many abandoned buildings. The city looks completely different. What it once was is not what it once used to be. President Donald Trump's plan to deploy the National Guard to Chicago to combat crime and homelessness has been a topic of much discussion this week among Inglewood resident Pamela Mundane and her neighbors. Some residents have told Mundane they support troops coming to the city after experiencing violence incidents. They feel something radical has to happen to get radical change. Mundane, who just returned from Washington, D.C., is much less supportive of the idea. During her visit last weekend to D.C., where Trump had deployed nearly 2,000 armed National Guard troops, Monday saw what she described as troublesome behavior, including guards throwing away people's tents while clearing a homeless encampment. To which I would have to say, does anyone not remember when the city of Chicago started destroying homeless encampments when the DNC was here in August of last year in 2024? I remember that. The United Center being cleaned up, all the homeless encampments and everywhere else, and the shelters being overwhelmed because there was no plan. Continue on. Chicago and state elected officials have blasted Trump's proposed plan as unconstitutional and abuse of federal power, with Governor J.B. Pritzker vowing to fight it in court. Mayor Brandon Johnson has pointed to a 30% drop in homicides and nearly 40% decline in shooting victims this year as evidence that Chicago is making progress on its own and isn't the war zone Trump is making it out to be. Still, Chicago leaders are bracing for the deployment of federal troops and possibly a large-scale immigration crackdown. That's going to happen. In February of this year, ICE came in with, hey, guess what? Tom Homan was here, and so was Dr. Phil. How do you know me? They were here, and the CPD didn't stop them. The mayor didn't stop them. And as we played in a previous segment, it's abundantly clear that the Chicago Police Department will not interfere with federal investigations. They're not going to interfere with the FBI. They're not going to interfere with ICE, and they're not going to interfere with the National Guard. So all this resistance crap that we're hearing, this glorified parade that's going to be taking place tomorrow, yeah, your politicians offer you word salads, but the CPD is not going to stop anything. No protest in front of Trump Tower is going to change Donald Trump's mind. I mean, I've seen this tactic play out before, and I'm debating really about covering it tomorrow. Like literally, I'm debating about doing a live stream, covering it there, and seeing people act like fools and clowns on Labor Day, so that everyone can see these idiots, protesting in front of Trump Tower. And what are your leaders going to lead you there? At this point, I don't know what a glorified protest is going to do, because ICE and the National Guard will probably be coming to Chicago. The more negative news that's being posted and promoted, that's going to give fuel to the Trump administration. So yeah, I do see this happening. While the National Guard will have limited power to act as law enforcement in Chicago, some Chicagoans say troops would bring a much-needed sense of order. Others fear military presence would inflame tensions and paint the city as unsafe. The city already has its problems. Block Club Chicago reporters spent a day talking with residents in the South and West Side neighborhoods most affected by gun violence, as well as people living downtown where the National Guard is likely to be deployed. The conversations reveal a mix of fear, skepticism, and frustration, not reflected in any one crime statistic. Amida Muhammad has lived across the South Side, first in Auburn, Gresham, then Inglewood, before settling in West Cassam over 20 years ago. Today, she leads the 79th and Harvard Avenue Block Club, where she and her neighbors run a phone tree to report suspicious activity. That kind of connection is what keeps the block safe. Trump wants to paint a picture that all Democrat cities are out of control, and that's not true, Muhammad said. Chicago has its problems, don't we all? Yes, we do. We don't need a National Guard, not in the neighborhoods. And again, this is where I keep on bringing up the point of there's going to be two different factions, but to the people who are going to be resisting Trump, don't expect your politicians to go to bat for you. There might be a handful, but I don't see Mayor Brandon Johnson lifting a single finger. That's not what's going to happen. And are the National Guards going to help out the people? Well, it might have the false sense of security, but at the end of the day, the real criminality is in City Hall. You want to arrest the criminals? It's not the people on the street corners. Yes, on the street corners. But you want to go to City Hall. That's where the evil is at. That's where the problem is at. That's where you need to go. But yet here, our fantastic mayor, as Trump targets Chicago, mayor fights his tyranny with executive order. Continuing the battle against U.S. President Donald Trump's erratic and petulant behavior, Chicago Democrat Mayor Brandon Johnson on Saturday signed an executive order responding to the Republicans' threats to deploy federal immigration agents and potentially National Guard and active duty troops to Illinois' biggest city. Just before signing the order, Johnson told journalists that he would have preferred to work with the city council to pass legislation, but unfortunately, we do not have the luxury of time, given credible reports that we have days, not weeks, before our city sees some type of militarized activity by the federal government. Which I would have to say, okay, if you didn't have the city council involvement, Mayor Brandon Johnson, you emotionally reacted and jumped into a situation that's going to cause you more problems, not only in 2026, but for your potential reelection in 2027. That's if you get reelected. And in my opinion, I think Mayor Brandon Johnson will be a whopping one-term mayor. You will be a one-term mayor, because now this is going to give fuel for people who want Trump, especially in city council, to come to Chicago, because now is a mayor enacting executive orders without the input of the city council. There are many aldermen and many residents in Chicago that have zero confidence in Mayor Brandon Johnson. Mayor 6.6%. All right, he is more universally hated than Lori Lightfoot. The fact that you have pulled that feat off, Mayor Brandon Johnson, is a miracle in its own right. You're more hated than Lightfoot. How did you pull it off? I mean, that's you got to work hard to be hated that much. Asked about what specific reports he was referring to, the mayor just said that the deployment could occur as soon as Friday, so he had to take immediate drastic action to protect our people from federal overreach. Well, here's the video.
Some of the leaders who we are working with are standing behind me today. But unfortunately, we do not have the luxury of time. We have received credible reports that we have days, not weeks, before our city sees some type of militarized activity by the federal government. It is unclear at this time what that will look like exactly. We may see militarized immigration enforcement. We may also see National Guard troops. We may even see active duty military and armed vehicles in our streets. We have not called for this. Our people have not asked for this. But nevertheless, we find ourselves having to respond to this. Let me be absolutely clear. Although we believe the reports we have received are highly credible, this is an erratic, impulsive administration, and it is not always possible to understand and know exactly how he will move. He could change his mind, he could reverse course. In fact, I encourage him to do that. Still, we take these threats seriously, and we find ourselves in a position where we must take immediate, drastic action to protect our people from federal overreach. I'm signing an executive order today that will launch the Protecting Chicago initiative. This is a project that builds on the months of preparation that we have done that has led up to this very moment. Protecting Chicago will ensure that every Chicagoan knows their rights, that every single family is prepared, and every part of city government is directed to protect the people of Chicago from federal action. This sweeping executive order directs our Department of Law to pursue any and every legal mechanism to hold this administration accountable for violating the rights of Chicagoans.
Here's where Johnson's running into a problem. There are people that want this. I know. I'm on the side of Chicagoans not being stepped on by our politicians at the city level, at the state level, and at the federal level. I view all these politicians as a problem because they're all part of the same political machine. The reason why this is happening, and there's many complexities to it, but there's a whole list of reasons. First of all, decades of negligence and corruption by the city of Chicago, even long before yours truly was born. All right, corruption runs deep, as does the crime. That's what caused it. So I'm first blaming the city politicians, past and current mayors as well. I hold them accountable. Second, we also have to look at the fact that the city of Chicago, and with the aid of activists and maybe politicians that felt like they want to have feel good points over Donald Trump, the idea of turning Chicago into a sanctuary city. This city is a hyper-segregated city, and right now we are $1.1 billion in the hole. Chicago is in dire financial straits. Number three, as you all know, I mentioned again, decades of abuse and corruption by our politicians. Again, there's corruption at many levels in Chicago, which has caused this city and its people to lose faith in our institutions. Number four, yes, Chicago is a Democrat city. It's not a communist, socialist, Marxist, Leninist utopia, Fox News, and to my fellow conservative viewers who watch the show, it is a neoliberal corporatist hellhole, but people didn't vote for it. They just got so abused by it that no one engages in electoral politics, which at this point, trust me, Anna, when you talk about Chicago politics, you wouldn't want to engage with it either. But here's Hard Lens Media, Chicago's #1 independent media network. So there you go. We, as a network, as a show, as a people in motion, are always pushing forward. But I want to point out, as this city is going to be dealing with the corruption from the previous politicians, these Democrat lawmakers made Chicago their base of operations. So if you're Donald Trump and you have the need for revenge, you definitely want to embarrass the Democrats at their heart. And it's a smart political move if you want to play the back and forth game of being part of the duopoly. And the thing is, it's not about going after Mayor Brandon Johnson. I think he'll be a one-term mayor. No, this is to derail Pritzker's plans, potentially, allegedly, to maybe run in the 2028 election cycle for the Democrats. That's where we're at right here, right now. So this whole idea of Chicagoans not wanting this, no, there's a group of Chicagoans that do want this. There are people who want this to happen. I don't want any of this to happen, but Mayor Brandon Johnson needs to wake up to reality. He doesn't have the support of the people.
This order affirms that the Chicago Police Department will not collaborate with military personnel on police patrols or civil immigration enforcement. We will not have our police officers who are working hard every single day to drive down crime deputized to do traffic stops and checkpoints for the president. This order affirms the CPD officers will be directed to wear CPD uniforms and refrain from wearing masks so that residents can clearly distinguish them from federal agents. And finally, as I said, it establishes the Protecting Chicago Initiative, the most sweeping campaign of any city in the country to protect ourselves from the threats and actions of this out-of-control administration. We will protect our Constitution, we will protect our city, and we will protect our people. We do not want to see tanks in our streets. We do not want to see families ripped apart. We do not want grandmothers thrown into the back of unmarked vans. We don't want to see homeless Chicagoans harassed or disappeared by federal agents.
Bullshit. Number one, during COVID, National Guard was deployed, locking off parts of the city. Number two, all right, let's talk about people being separated. February of 2025, ICE was here, removing. Let me say that again. Removing migrant criminals. The CPD didn't do anything to stop it. And the superintendent of Chicago, of the CPD, of Chicago Police Department, and in a previous live stream that we covered, said that the police department is not going to be involved in stopping federal agents or ICE. So, Mayor Brandon Johnson, you did this quickly without city council. You did this so quickly, I don't think this is going to be enforceable. And many people will question, well, what kind of orders are you asking the police department? Are you asking a Chicago police car to whoop whoop? Yeah, sorry if that scared you. That's my fake police siren now. It's whoop whoop. Like pull over a convoy of what 5 to 6 armored National Guard Humvees and be like, all right, where are you taking this patrol down on Michigan Avenue? Where are you guys going? You want the police to be engaging? What? Halting? You want there to be some kind of altercation? Because trust me on it, that's a recipe for disaster.
We don't want to see Chicagoans arrested for sitting on their porch. That's not who we...
That happens all the time, Mayor. That happens all the time. What are you talking about? Chicago's not being arrested. I've seen it happen.
We are as a city, and that's not who we are as a nation. My team and I have spoken with the governor, the county president, and with our federal delegation, and we are in complete alignment. The time for action is now. With that, I will sign this executive order and then return for follow-up questions.
I'm going to move the mic right.
All right, he's going to sign the executive order. Okay, Mayor 6.6%. Mayor 6.6. Mayor 6.6, everybody. That executive order ain't going to do shite. That executive order won't do anything. I mean, this ain't no, guys, don't do a group photo. Stop this. Stop this now. Oh, God. Only those lame enough to show up showed up. Oh, God.
For a welcoming city, first of all, so that ordinance has been in place for the last 40 years. We strengthened it under my administration. So the moment that President Trump secured enough electoral votes to become the 47th president, we are fully aware of his animus against working people and particularly immigrant communities. So that preparation was making sure that all of our sister agencies and city departments understood their assignment, and particularly making sure that people know their rights. And so that's been a continuous process all the way up until the time in which I had to testify before the Oversight Committee. And then even well beyond that, we've seen this president trample all over our Constitution. So, we've already filed multiple lawsuits, I believe 40 lawsuits. You just saw that the courts have deemed most of his taxes.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Sorry. Sorry about that, folks. There was a video playing. Sorry, in the background. Sorry about that. I was looking confused there for a minute. Sorry. There was a video playing in the background. I don't know where it was coming from, but took care of it. So, yes, this is our mayor. And you know what? First of all, I want to pull up Bad Cookies, who says, "Suffer, Kit. All those times you did those fluff pieces for Trump, at least Trump is saying he wants to stop the wars. Remember those? This is how you made us suffer watching your Trump fluff pieces." First of all, I wouldn't call them fluff pieces. I just thought, like, at the time, maybe he was being sincere. I thought maybe there was some sincerity there, or maybe it could happen. I was preparing myself for absolute failure, but all right, hey, I guess I will suffer. I will suffer now, because Chicago's going to be a war zone, politically, socially, economically. Yes. And here's another reason why I think the mayor's plan is not going to hold out well. Chicago is facing a $1.1 billion budget hole for 2026, but few details yet on how the mayor will fill the gap. Folks, this city's in deep trouble. We don't have anyone that's going to be fighting for us. And if you think this mayor and his executive order is going to save the day, Jamal Green, Chicago. So far this Labor Day weekend, 35 people have been shot, 5 dead, including multiple mass shootings. There are only 2 days left in Labor Day weekend. Please look after each other and pay attention to your surroundings, praying for our city. To which I have to say, I did get this message from good friend of the show, Roger Meadows. And he said, like, Mayor Brandon Johnson should push aside his pride and reach out to Jamal Green and others. To which I will say to Roger Meadows, that's never going to happen. Mayor Brandon Johnson has dug his grave, and he is a one-term mayor. And if you want to be alive politically in this city, if you want to actually have an impact in this city, the best thing you can do is get away from Brandon Johnson. He is toxic. He is radioactive. You don't want to be anywhere near him. The National Guard will be deployed. It's going to happen, whether you like it or not. And regrettably, this city and its leaders are not going to do anything to stop it. They're not going to protect you. Yeah, they'll be probably cheering along and happily smiling as everyone's doing their little glorified protest parade against Donald Trump. But what else do you have? I mean, because if that's it, if that's all what you got, that's not going to stop ICE from going to neighborhoods on the south and west side neighborhoods. That's not going to stop a National Guard patrol driving down Lakeshore Drive. That is not going to stop federal agents and other institutions being in the city, because the police department, the superintendent, said live on air that they're not going to be halting that. So are you expecting the police to be actively involved in stopping this? They're not going to do it. Plus, the Chicago Police Department has right now a lot of grudges towards Mayor Brandon Johnson and his administration. It might look like the city's unified or going around Brandon Johnson, but the answer is no. There are Chicagoans who hate Mayor Brandon Johnson and his administration for many reasons. This city has gone into the hole. This city has suffered because of his lackluster leadership. Don't expect the politician to stick their neck out for you. This is Chicago, after all. And to which I'll have to say, I'll leave this as my final note, and I will keep on mentioning this however long this occupation will be. If the National Guard or Marine or Army reservists or FBI or ICE or any other federal agencies that are being deployed by Donald Trump's administration really want to make any kind of impact, if you really want to make a real change in this city, you don't go to the street corners, you don't go to the warehouses or trap houses or anything else. You want to know where you want to go to really stop the crime and criminality and abuse and corruption. You want to know where you go to the beating heart, to where it's at, and that's called City Hall. And I know the FBI's got a whole packet and binders full of corrupt Chicago politicians. Don't tell me that you don't got them. Don't tell me you don't have them. You want to stop the corruption and criminality, you go to City Hall. You want to stop where the bad guys are at, you go to City Hall. That's where the heart is at. Any Chicagoan who's been living in this city, any Chicagoan that's called the city home, be it their first time moving here or living here for generations, will tell you the heart of criminality is in City Hall, not on the corners, in City Hall. So unless I'm seeing some politicians being arrested, any kind of engagement, and even if you're a Trump supporter and you want this in, there's no way you're not going to disagree with me on this one. Yeah, they'll be here and then they'll go away. But the root cause, the main cancer, is in City Hall. I'm not seeing politicians being arrested. I'm not seeing them being held accountable for their criminality towards what's been happening to Chicagoans for decades. I don't want to freaking hear it. This whole thing would be a waste of time. You want to stop the bad guys? Go there. Donald Trump, you don't got the balls to be arresting any of these politicians. There you go. I'm going to challenge all of your legal systems right there. If you want to bring some real change, go to City Hall. You want to arrest the bad guys? Go to City Hall. I'll say it again. Go to City Hall, go to City Hall, go to City Hall. That's where the bad guys are at. Anyone with half a brain knows you want to stop corruption. You really want to do it? You want to face off against it? Go to where the heart of darkness is at, City Hall in Chicago.